A man on Reddit asked a simple question. Did he go too far? Or did his coworker finally get what was coming to him? Because what started as workplace tension slowly turned into something personal. And when he decided to teach his coworker a lesson, he didn't expect the fallout to look like this. He begins with some context. He's 32 years old and works in a mid-sized office, not corporate enough to be anonymous, but not small enough for HR to know everyone personally. The kind of workplace where people rely on each other and reputations stick. For the most part, he likes his job. But there's one person who's been a problem almost since day one. His coworker, who we'll call Mark. Mark is the type of guy who knows just enough to be dangerous. He talks confidently, takes credit easily, and according to the OP, has a habit of throwing others under the bus when things go wrong. At first, the OP tried to ignore it. He told himself every workplace has someone like Mark. But over time, it stopped being annoying and started becoming a pattern. Mark would miss deadlines, then casually mention that the OP hadn't gotten him what he needed. He'd forget to send emails, then imply the OP failed to communicate. Once, during a meeting, Mark openly questioned the OP's competence in front of their manager. The OP says he brushed it off publicly, but inside, it burned. He prides himself on being professional, and Mark was slowly chipping away at that. The real issue? Mark never did this openly enough to be obvious. It was always subtle, enough to plant doubt, enough to protect himself, and enough to make the OP look defensive if he pushed back. So for months, the OP kept quiet, until the project. Their team was assigned a high-visibility project with a tight deadline, one that management was watching closely. Mark volunteered to handle a key portion, data compilation and reporting, while the OP handled analysis and presentation. On paper, it was straightforward. In reality, it was a setup. As the deadline approached, Mark started slipping. Late replies, half-finished work, excuses. The OP reached out multiple times, politely reminding him they were on a timeline. Mark assured him everything was under control. Then, 2 days before the deadline, Mark stopped responding entirely. The OP remembers sitting at his desk, staring at his inbox, heart racing. Because without Mark's data, the entire project would fail. And history told him exactly what would happen next. Mark would spin it, and the OP would take the hit. That's when he made a decision. Instead of covering for Mark, like he'd done before, he stopped. He didn't escalate immediately. He didn't complain. He documented everything, every email, every reminder, every unanswered message. Then, calmly, he sent one final message. "Hey, Mark, just checking in. I'll need your completed data by end of day tomorrow to finalize the presentation." No accusation, no emotion, just clarity. The next day came and went. Nothing. So the OP did something he admits he'd never done before. He let the deadline pass. The presentation day arrived. Management gathered. The OP stood up to present, and when he reached the section that depended on Mark's work, he stopped. He calmly explained that the data was missing, and then he said something that made the room go quiet. "I followed up multiple times, but I never received the completed materials from Mark." No insults, no exaggeration, just the truth. Mark froze. According to the OP, Mark tried to recover. He stumbled through excuses, technical issues, miscommunication, time constraints. But this time, it didn't land, because the OP had receipts. When management asked for clarification, he provided timestamps, emails, Slack messages, everything. The room shifted, and for the first time, the spotlight wasn't on the OP. It was on Mark. After the meeting, Mark was pulled aside. The OP wasn't. That alone felt like vindication. But the story doesn't end there. Later that day, Mark confronted him. Not quietly, not professionally. He accused the OP of sabotaging him, of setting him up, of embarrassing him in front of management. The OP says he listened, and then replied calmly, "I didn't do anything to you. I just stopped covering for you." That sentence hit harder than he expected. Mark was written up, not fired, but formally warned. And suddenly, the office dynamic changed. Some co-workers quietly thanked the OP, others avoided him, and a few said something that stuck with him. "You could have handled that differently." That's when the doubt crept in. He posted on Reddit asking, "Did I go too far? Was this accountability or revenge?" Reddit had thoughts, a lot of them. Many commenters sided firmly with the OP. They said he didn't teach Mark a lesson. Mark taught himself one, that allowing someone to fail under their own negligence isn't sabotage, it's consequences. One top comment read, "You didn't throw him under the bus. You just stopped pulling him out of traffic." Others pointed out that protecting Mark would have made the OP complicit, that if the project failed later, the blame would eventually land on him anyway. Several people praised the documentation, calling it the smartest move in the story. But not everyone agreed. Some commenters felt the OP should have escalated earlier. They argued that letting the deadline pass hurt the team, not just Mark. A few said confronting Mark privately before the meeting might have been more professional. And one particularly critical comment said, "You waited for him to fail publicly instead of solving the problem." That one stung. The OP responded to a few comments, clarifying that he had tried to solve the problem repeatedly. But he admitted something important. Part of him wanted Mark exposed, and he wasn't sure how to feel about that. A few weeks later, he posted an update. Mark's behavior changed dramatically. He became more responsive, more careful, less accusatory. The subtle jabs stopped, and while they weren't friends, they were functional. Management also shifted responsibilities to ensure clearer accountability. As for the OP, he says he learned something unexpected. Standing up for yourself doesn't always look heroic. Sometimes it feels uncomfortable. Sometimes it makes people question you. And sometimes doing the right thing means letting someone fall, even when you know you could catch them. He ends with a reflection. He didn't enjoy watching Mark fail, but he enjoyed no longer being blamed. And for the first time in that job, he felt respected. So now it's your turn. Did he go too far, or did he finally stop being a doormat? Should coworkers protect each other or let consequences speak? Let me know what you think. If you liked this video and want to see more like it, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. And if you like hearing stories like this, then you're going to love Audible. Try it out for free today. The link is in the description.